welcome to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source, and we have a great lineup for you today. Welcome to another amazing week, another episode of the Tucson Tasty Show. And we're adapting as we go, which is always exciting. But today we will have Chef Joshua, our consultant chef, on the show for the first half here. And then we're going to have Lucky's Chicago sandwiches. And if you haven't had them yet, they're up on Thornydale and Oracle. Thornydale and Orange Grove. They both start with an O, so you got to give me that one. And we have an amazing guest co-host, and welcome our friend and so much more, right? I mean, champion and the voice of Jorge Ruiz.
Hello, and thank you for having me again. You guys are awesome. This show will take off, and you'll remember that. You will see it. I believe it.
Well, thank you very much. Now, the Tucson Tasty Show would not be we wouldn't be able to do this without our gracious sponsors. And thank you to our sponsors, Vera Earl Premium Beef, Novus Vita Mafia Kitchen, Your Financial Guy, Cody Peck, Network Outdoors, Local First Arizona Hatters, the hat company that I get my hats from now, and Allegra Marketing Print and Mail. Don't forget to subscribe and share. If you're out in radio land, you got to tune in to the YouTube channel as well if you want to see some of the tasty bites, and check out our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify,
MySpace.
Yeah, no, we should get a MySpace going, I think. I actually found that old account recently. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, that's so long ago.
Long time ago.
Used to rank your friends.
Did
yeah.
you really?
Well, I mean, you could put them like, oh, your top 8 people. I'm like, he's not my friend this week. Let's switch him out with somebody else.
Wow.
See, when I was in high school, I knew I was in trouble when my
That's
girlfriend
exciting.
said she was single.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And she's standing over there. Producer Tina, always great to have you in the studio with us.
Well, that's before, especially everything was attached to your phone. Before you got a notification on your phone, like, oh, what's that? Oh, dang.
Oh, man. So I think I might be a bit older than all you all. So I still remember Beeper.
Do you remember?
Beepers.
I remember beepers. I had a beeper when I was.
Did you really?
I was younger.
My brother
I
did,
was
but
not.
he's 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
I was not a drug dealer.
I was.
Throw that out there.
Oh, just kidding. Not doing it.
Street
2 weeks
pharmacist.
at least. Yeah, that's right.
If you want to call in and be a part of the show, please do it. 520-790-2040, 520-790-2040, and or you can leave a comment on the YouTube or Facebook page, and that's the Tucson Tasty Show. All you have to do is put that in. We'll pop right up. And all right, so what do we have from our consultant chef, Joshua, today?
So, right, we were talking about it a little bit a second ago. Like, I went to this conference up in Phoenix.
What was the name of the conference?
It was made by the American Culinary Federation. They move around because when I was prior to going to there, I didn't know anything about them. Some of my colleagues at Escoffier, they're like, hey, we need volunteers for here. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing nothing. I like going to these conferences, and it was one of those trade-offs where you volunteer for a few hours, and then you get a walk around the trade show and stuff like that. I'm like, I love trade shows and stuff. It's like,
yes.
So that was one of my things. Like, of course, I'll help out, and it's really cool because some of them there was different competitions, and even after the person got done competing or doing a demonstration, they'll come back to where the volunteers were, and they're like, oh, does anybody else need any help? And then they'll just go over there to helping other stuff, like preparing some other dishes for the different shows, or doing like the little mise en place, or going in wiping down tables and stuff. So it's really cool. It's like how, I think TV sometimes does it rough. Like there are some of those chefs out there that are really like aggressive, especially if you watch the Bears, like, oh, kind of like means all hands on deck, all this and stuff like that. And then the other one's like, hey, it's okay, just slow down. The more you rush, the more mistakes you're going to make. So it's like, here, just do everything slowly, do everything right.
I can honestly say, we're coming up on almost a year of the Tucson Tasty Show radio, the radio version, and with more than I think it's more than 60 chefs that we've interviewed thus far on the show. But yeah, I can definitely see that the differences in the chefs and how they're going to be in the kitchen. I'm really excited to get in there with the TV show and kind of showcase the different styles and stuff. I mean, we have 4 episodes recorded. The third one plays today, and you can catch it on the CW channel 58 at 4 p.m. And it's Zio Pepe with chef owners Matt Cable and Devin Sanner. And I mean, we started with Mama Luisa's. We went to the Arizona Sands Club, and then we're in Zio Pepe, and then we're in Thunder Bacon Burger. And every kitchen was different, you know. And it was the personality of the chef. I mean, it was really cool to see the workspace. Like, you know, I don't know if you had a desk when you were in the Army. I had a desk when I was in the Air Force. I was hardly at it, but I did have a desk, and it had my personality there. Well, the chefs do the same thing in the kitchen, but it's the whole kitchen and how everybody's acting.
Makes sense.
And you know, and it's really cool to see the different organization, different styles, and
well, they're coaches, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if you consider, obviously, a basketball coach sits at the sidelines, right, and watches their boys and do
I
the
like
work.
that analogy.
But a coach gets in the game, and so he gets to be so involved in the way he's coaching his whole kitchen and everyone there. So, but I could see how you have fired coaches, and then you have, you know, coaches that don't take it that way. Who was the guy? He was a coach for the Colts. He wrote a book called Quiet Strength. Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy was the opposite of being a fiery coach, and he was almost like a Zen, like the Lakers guy. So I'm sure there's chefs that are, you know, essentially the same way. But there's a beauty to that they are actually coaching while in the game, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
I like that analogy a lot, actually. That's actually, you know, that makes sense for a lot of. Well, there's quite a few chefs that are coaches as well. So,
really?
Natural leaders.
Yeah,
so weird. But they're the generals of the kitchen. That's why when somebody says, "Oh, you're a chef too," I'm a good home cook. I'm not a chef. And, you know, and they remind me of that every once in a while when I'm in one of their conversations and they go off on a tangent and I have no idea what they're saying. And, you know, I just kind of absorb it as much as possible. But they're talking about ingredients and they're talking about different cooking styles and everything else that's really cool. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure that Chef Obi from MO Club and Chef Michael Elefante came up with, like, the next, like, big thing in front of me yesterday. And I could describe how it's made, but I'm still trying to figure out what it is.
Makes sense.
But anyways, go ahead. Yeah, and that's one of the amazing things with these different conferences. It gives the chefs to come together and collaborate, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, especially then you end up getting new ideas from the other things that you saw. Like there was this one where. Yeah, most people, if they're doing like a chicken, they're going to especially if they're going to try to fry it and bread it later on, they're using buttermilk. Well, this one guy, he used mustard, and I don't know how thin it was because I didn't get to see the original product, but I did taste it. I do like mustard, so if you don't, I'm sure you're probably not going to like it as much, but it was actually a pretty nice compliment to the chicken. So
mustard, yeah. I have a friend that used to be in the military. He was actually in charge of the dining facility long ago, and his favorite marinade for chicken is mustard, 50% mustard, 50% soy sauce. And we're not talking about anything fancy mustard. We're talking about just French's mustard, and it's a 50-50. And you think it's salty or it's that mustard flavor? No, it's actually like nobody can pin what it is.
That's interesting.
And it's really good. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the different. What was I going with? Talking about the mustard, the chicken. Another thing is like no, it's all right because you're talking about something else and then I forgot. I tend to forget some things sometimes.
Well, you get excited about the mustard and soy sauce
like
chicken recipe
working
now,
in the
right?
kitchen and you're like, oh, I need some potatoes. And you go to the room like, what am I in here for? Yeah. And then it's like, just go back to do what you were.
That happens to everybody.
And then you remember. So what it is your brain is processing the new stuff now. It's like, oh, now I'm looking at all these ingredients and stuff. What else did I need? Oh, carrots? No, it wasn't carrots. It was potatoes. But one of the things I was helping this guy with set up a thing. He had this tasting for olive oil. So it would remind me of when like shared living was here, and like I don't know if they went over it, but where do you think is the most olive oil comes from?
The highest quantity or the highest quality? Because there's very different areas.
See, I don't remember which one we said, but there's 3 countries that do it the most, and the first one was Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Which if you think of how small Spain is compared to of course, everybody thinks Greece. Greece is number 3. So it is Spain, Italy, and Greece.
Yep.
And now he is actually from a place over in California where they started doing that. So he's talking about all the different infusions of the stuff.
yeah.
So that was one of the things I was talking about.
So there's quite a bit of olive oil. I mean,
yeah,
in
and
the hundreds, would you say?
Well, because one of the things I was asking him, because I was like, "Hey, chef, so you're kind of a little bit of an expert on olive oil," and I'm like, there was this article I read back that there's not enough olive trees in the world to actually get how much. You go to the store and you see all these olive oils that's listed, or oils listed as olive oil. So he's like, well, you have to pretty much look at what it is, because places are going to use a different type of neutral oil just to fill up that gap of actually what they have.
Wow.
And another
Just
one
like
is
honey.
like,
Yeah.
another one we talk about is if you watch different cooking shows, they tell you how much they hate truffle oil, because most of them actually don't have the truffle in it.
And we're gonna talk about that a little bit more. Actually, I want to dive into the truffle thing a little bit more, as well as the olive oil. We'll be right back after this short break. I'm Wesley Source, your host of the Tucson Tasty Show. We'll be right back with more from our consultant chef, Joshua, and Jorge Ruiz. Thank you very much for being with us today on the show. Thank you to our sponsors, Ferrero Premium Beef, Novus Vita, Mafia Kitchen, Your Financial Guy Cody Peck, Network Outdoors, Local First Arizona, Arizona Hatters, Allegra Marketing, Print, and Mail. Stay tasty, Tucson. Welcome back to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source, and we're having another great episode here on the Tucson Tasty Show. And we've got our celebrity chef, Joshua, of Joshua's consultant chefness. I don't know. We're working on that. And you know what? Why don't you call in and give him names for his company? That would be great. Cool. You can call in at 520-790-2040, or you can leave a comment right there on Facebook, Instagram, and everything else. So, yeah. How's everything going? Okay, so we were talking about truffle oil, olive oil.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the diluted and the artificial, and why it's so important to make sure that your olive oil is olive oil and not something else.
It's kind of the same way, because you're looking for actually that flavor profile. So, I mean, if they say it's truffle and it's not, it's like, oh, maybe it's a variation of like a mushroom or something. You're not going to get that robust, pungent taste of what the truffle is. And then especially when you mix it with the olive oil and it's not actually the flavors that you want, so then it could really mess up your dish what you're trying to go for. And like, oh, you're thinking I have the best stuff, I have this stuff, and it's not the original stuff. It's like, oh, like I said, it was like a mushroom extract instead of the truffle.
Right, and that's also cooking temperatures change when you're doing that, and smoke points, everything else, right?
Yeah, and yes, you can saute stuff with olive oil, but it's more of a finishing oil, because you get that, especially if you have a pizza right out of the oven, just put it around the crust a little bit, get that nice olive oil taste.
I was really hoping that you were going to go down that rabbit hole, because here's a question for you then. Focaccia is pretty much olive oil fried bread.
Oh, man.
First time I hear that.
It takes
Sounds
about
focaccia.
Yeah. I think it takes me about a day, I think is what the recipe do it. So when you make your dough, I would use the same recipe to make the pizza dough, but what you do is when you have like your bucket and it's oil all in it, and then you flip it over in it, and then go back a few hours later, flip it over again. So it's like all this extra oil gets into that bread. Now, for some reason, every time I say focaccia, I want to throw an R in there, but I joke around with people and I say it's the Italian cornbread, because the first few times I had it, had that thick texture like I was eating cornbread.
So let's make.
So let me ask you a question. With other mention of all these different types of oils, some of them not being actual olive oil, What type of oil do you use to make that bread?
Olive oil.
Olive oil.
But what
Oh,
brand?
what brand?
Or, yeah.
So I get Bertolli's olive oil,
Okay.
which I
mhm.
like their pasta sauce too. So that's why I usually go on for there. But it's like sometimes you find a brand that you like, and it's like, oh, just spread out and like, let me try
Okay.
the other products
So-
that they have.
To really kind of describe it, okay, it's a little bit of an oily bread, because it's definitely, it has a lot of olive oil on it, but you have that olive oil flavor to it, which is really delicious. But when you're making the bread, it's essentially a sourdough. So you've got that, it's a really yeasty bread, and you let it ferment a little bit, so you get that sourdough flavor on it. But you're letting it rise, and you're letting it rise in the pan, and then you're really just poking it right before you shove it in the oven. So it's a very fluffy bread, and you get these big bubbles,
Air
and
bubbles in it,
it's a
yeah.
little bit chewy. It's almost like a bagel.
I put rosemary and chive on mine whenever
and you
put it
sprinkle
in.
over the top. Yeah, so,
different stuff you could put on top.
so you get a little
I
bit
s-
of chive.
I saw this one guy. They put onions and stuff like that, and made it look like a flour on top. But then that one's like, well, I want to taste the onion. I want to taste what everything you put in it. So I want a piece with everyone on it, not just like, oh, mine just oniony.
Right.
That is cool. Wow.
And the traditional would be rosemary and sea salt. So as you bite into it, you get the bread, you get the sourdough, you get the little bit of salt, and then you get the rosemary, and actually there's probably granulated Parmesan, a little bit.
Wow.
So here's a thing off of Wikipedia.
Well, you got to show everybody
That's
at home. There you go. So yeah, there you go.
That's the sea salt and
And
rosemary that he was talking
anybody
about.
can
So it's like-
call in and chime in on this, but Don from Barrio Bread actually makes an amazing focaccia. And I don't know if you've ever had
Oh, I got to try that now.
one of
Yeah.
the BLTs at the Arizona Sands Club that they
No.
make over there, but they make it with the focaccia bread from Barrio.
I've seen it, but I haven't tried it yet. But now I will.
I actually made
Yeah.
some focaccia bread the other day, but what I did was I had some leftover chicken and stuff. I actually made like more of a buffalo chicken flatbread, but it was on the focaccia, so you had the nice oily, crunchy, and then you got the little chicken and a buffalo.
It's like going to one of the Italian restaurants, and instead of having to have the olive oil and our plate in the balsamic with the salt or the salt on it, and dipping the bread in, it's all built into one thing. So you just chunks of the bread, and you can dip it in more olive oil if you want, but because olive oil is healthy, right? It's omega-3.
Sure. If it's the real olive oil.
If
of
it's the
course.
real olive oil,
I never-
but you're using extra virgin olive oil when you're doing that, because when you're putting it in the oven to bake it, it's at 450, and that's the smoking temp for. It's over the smoking temp for olive oil, so you got to use the extra virgin olive oil to make sure that it doesn't have any issues, because they pull out all the solids. That's all they're doing. It's filtered.
Okay.
It's more filtered.
Okay.
No, I've never fact checked this, so I don't know if the information I'm about to tell you is real or not. But when I was younger, I was talking about how you always watch a movie and they show a guy has a glass of wine talking about medieval times, right? So they're having
Sure.
a wine and taking the bread and dumping it into their wine. So what I was told growing up was that the reason they did that is back in the day, one of the things they used to preserve was olive oil. So they put the olive oil on top of the wine to keep it from anything else going in. So when they pour the glass, sometimes you had olive oil on top of your glass. So they used the bread to soak up the olive oil before they eat the wine. So it's like every time I go to an Italian place, I'm like, oh, here's some oil to dip your bread into.
And
I
then
always
the balsamic
wondered.
underneath of
Yeah,
it, which is
I always
essentially
wonder.
a
Well,
wine.
yeah,
right?
especially if you do the like, especially when I make mead, sometimes it fails and it's really pretty much a honey vinegar by then. So I'm sure it could have been when the thing is like, oh, you got the wine it failed. Now you have a vinegar, different flavors and stuff like that. So maybe,
Very
like I said, I
interesting.
never checked into it, but that's what I
I
remember.
do
being
like the
told in
origins
Florida.
of things. I just heard that when people do the cheers, when they cheer, the reason they did that, and they used to do it in medieval times as well, you're supposed to do it really hard so that the drink flows everywhere, because if there
Right.
was poison,
It flows into everybody's cup.
It's in
and
everybody's
so it was
cup.
almost like, okay, I trust you enough to, share this with you, because, this time I'm not going to poison you.
Well, it's like I mean, you see depicts of Rome, and everybody, all the senators, when they go to greet you, they got hands out like this. So it's pretty much, you can see the arms like, oh, I don't have a knife up my sleeve. So that's how they greeted each other that way. It's like,
Oh,
So it's
I love
part
that
of-
stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know, where are the origins of
I,
everything?
I like the history. Where's that one show?
Well, that's why we wave at each other, because we're showing that we don't have a sword in our hand. Yep. Because the knights, right?
That is interesting. Man, oh,
We
man.
could go down that rabbit hole, but I can't think of food related origins other
No.
than is pizza from Italy?
Probably.
Well, see,
The big debate revealed.
Tomatoes was originally from the Americas, so it always depends on different things, because you look at little flatbreads and where it was just like, oh, the bread and cheese and stuff like that. But originally they used to think that tomatoes
I'm
were
gonna have to
poisonous
check that one
you.
out. I don't know.
And how many things we love and enjoy now were actually accidents.
Oh, of course.
You know, we don't
like
have
the chimichanga.
we're missing some things here.
Cheeseburgers.
We gotta figure out what we have, and all of a sudden now you have, I don't know, something.
Yeah, I love the story and the way that they tell it about the chimichanga about and Ray Flores actually just told us this one and how his grandmother's in the kitchen and they've got the burrito and the kids are going wild behind her and she turns around to say something to him and knocks the burrito into the fryer and then pulls it out and serves it anyways because it's still good food.
Yeah.
It was just deep fried and there's the chimichanga.
That is
Yeah,
interesting.
she was going to end up saying a word where it's like, oh, almost a cuss word.
Right.
But it's like, oh, whenever you start changing the word, like
I know the word, by the way.
yeah.
If you
So
guys are
that's why
curious.
they changed it. I'm like, oh, changa.
Maybe while we're off air.
I know exactly what you said at this point. It's not too bad. If you, in the scale of Spanish bad words,
Mm-hmm.
it's lower half.
Okay.
It's really not that bad.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll talk about it. And if you want to find out, you're gonna have to call in.
Yeah. Yep. And that's 520-790-2040. And so we're going to be going into the hard break in about 2 minutes here, but at the bottom of the hour. But when we come back, we're going to be talking to Lucky's Chicago Sandwiches and the man, the myth, and the legend behind that, and that's Mark. I even got it right. See, Mark Hall. And we're really looking forward to chatting with him and why he's doing what he's doing. In fact, we've got this whole list of questions that I refused to send to him. And it's really going to be, we're going to put him on the hot seat. It's going to be fun.
Nice.
And he's, no, I'm kidding. He's
Not
good.
wave.
Yeah, well, why don't we go ahead and head on out? So I'm Wesley Source, your host of the Tucson Tasty Show. We'll be right back, and thank you to our sponsors, Vero Premium Beef. If you haven't gone to vepremiumbeef.com and gotten some of their beef sticks yet, you have not lived. You have to get some of their beef sticks. In fact, the Arizona Sands Club is doing it's a Bloody Mary with one of the beef sticks in it. And it's the jalapeno cheddar one. I would order it just for that reason, and
Gonna have to try that too.
You had me at a Bloody Mary.
With the BLT.
but we got the box coming out, and we're going to be starting to ship those out. I believe August 15th. So if you want to learn more information about that, go to tastyshow.com, sign up for the emails, and we'll send out how to get signed up for those here towards the end of the month. And we also have Mafia Kitchen, Your Financial Guy, Cody Peck, Network Outdoors, Local First Arizona, Arizona Hatters, and Allegra Marketing, Print, and Mail. And I'm your host, Stay Tasty Tucson. Welcome to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source, and we're back for the second half of the show with one of the newest sandwich places that I have found that I love, because I love Italian beef. I love everything Chicago. Well, you got the Chicago dog. Do you know what a Chicago dog is?
Yes,
Jorge?
I've been to. There's a place out here. I believe it's called Luke's. And when I was coming up a long time ago, I would go there. I haven't been there in many years, but as you would have it, I'm very familiar with the Sonoran hot dog because I grew up in the south side of Tucson. So, but Luke's, I remember many years ago, they had what they called a Chicago dog. So I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
So you got the Chicago, or you got the hot dog, which has to be Vienna sausage and or hot dog, sorry, and then you've got relish, and you've got pickles. You know what? Why don't we just
There's a little yellow chili in there too, right?
a sports chili.
Sports pepper. Yep.
Okay,
sports
that's what
pepper.
that is. Yeah.
And then, but you've got green relish as
Yep.
well as a pickle spear, and then to top it off, you have to put celery salt on top, and that's the secret. That pulls
Tomatoes,
everything together. Tomatoes, onions,
And the bread, what's the bread like?
Poppy seed.
poppy seed bread.
Okay.
Fun.
Okay.
So we're gonna talk to him more about these hot dogs and the Italian beef and everything else that he's really doing over there at Lucky's Chicago Sandwiches. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good.
Perfect.
So we want to be right. Yeah, there we go.
Gotcha.
So you're right over there on Thornydale and Orange Grove. I said Thornydale and Oracle earlier.
Mhm. You were close.
The Oracle, Orange Grove, they both start with an O. I mean, they don't go the same direction, but whatever.
Right. Just south of Costco Drive.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to do was kind of get a feel for what Lucky's Chicago Sandwiches is, and what you're doing how you're doing things differently for the community, right? So first thing is the biggest question: the inspiration behind Lucky's. What inspired you to open Lucky's Chicago Sandwiches, and what's the vision that you had starting the business?
Well,
The small question first.
yeah. Let's just dive right into the tearjerker. To be honest, my partner and I got together at a friend's celebration of life,
Mm-hmm.
and the three of us have been friends for, almost 30 years.
Mm.
And he said, "Hey, there's a place for sale, Luke's," and he said, "Let's buy it. Let's make it better." And I said, "Let's do it. Why not?" So we feel that our friend's death, he was tragically killed in 22,
Mm.
brought us together to buy the restaurant. So a year later after that, we were opening the doors. It's been 11 months now that we've been running the restaurant.
Awesome.
So that's what happened. Yeah.
That's
It's wonderful.
We have his picture up. We even created a
his
sandwich
name?
called the RJ. It's
RJ?
one of our most
RJ.
popular sandwiches. And yeah, that's the inspiration behind it.
Can I ask, can
Go
you
ahead.
tell me about the RJ? What type of
Yeah.
sandwich is it?
I called his wife in and we sat down and we said, what would he like? What would be his sandwich if he could create one? So we sat down, we talked about the meats, the cheeses, how we would like it, and we created his sandwich.
That is
So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's very unique. It's a big sandwich. He was a big guy, and it's amazing. So
Now I'm gonna have to go try it.
yeah,
Thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
that
very,
sounds-
very touching.
so what's on it? I mean, come on, build out the sandwich. You're in the kitchen. First thing you do is grab the bread. What kind of bread?
it's on our hoagie roll. So the hoagie
Okay.
rolls are delivered fresh daily. So fresh bread. It's got mustard, salami, turkey, bacon,
Mm.
lettuce, tomato. No onions. He hated onions. Pepperoncinis.
Pepper
Oh.
cheese.
You got to get the onions on there.
Yeah. Sorry, he
But it's
hated
okay.
onions. So it's very unique. It kind of goes against all the other grains of all the other sandwiches that we have. So that's
Any
what sets it
mustard,
apart.
mayonnaise, or anything
No
like that?
mayonnaise. He hated mayonnaise. He hated onions.
I agree with.
So
I
everything
agree with
else
that.
flips around on all of our other sandwiches.
That's awesome.
Mayonnaise is the only condiment that is terrible to put on anything. And I know the snoring dogs have the.
No. Tina and I do not agree with you. I just want you to
It's
know.
kind of like putting ketchup on a
She's
hot dog.
left-handed
I don't know,
though,
making-
so
Me
I
too.
can't-
High five.
Making some fresh mayonnaise though, man. That's
gotta
the
go.
best stuff over. Best stuff
Mayonnaise
ever.
with sriracha, man. But anyways, that is a beautiful story,
Thank you. Thank you.
And don't ever go near a Chicago dog with ketchup.
man. No. That thing just is fine the way it comes.
Yeah, it's a sin.
And we're
We're
gonna
gonna have to have yours. I'm sure you probably have the Chicago dog there as well, right?
I do, and I actually have one here tonight as well. So
All right.
We're gonna dive into
Yeah.
that after the first break here. So
Exciting.
we got 5 minutes until we get to try the Chicago dog, but So tell us a little bit more, about your background. What's your background in the culinary world? How did you end up specializing in the Chicago style sandwiches?
Background, I've been running restaurants for 18, 19 years here in Tucson. I've done everything in the corporate side. Chili's, Applebee's, Hooters, Pizza Hut. I've ran them all. Last year, I own a food boat. We ran that on Lake Pleasant all summer. Did different varieties of food up there, but
Yeah.
Every concept that I ran, we had to start from the bottom, learn every station on the line, do everything from the kitchen up before we could, work the floor and run the restaurant. So all the different styles of food, all the different types
Wow.
of techniques that come out. And when you dive into something like this, you've got to know what you're doing. So I
Yes.
do my homework, do my research. I talk to the people.
You've got a lot of passionate followers behind these
Yeah.
foods that they'll tell you very loudly if they're wrong.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
continue.
you can't fake it until you make it in this business at all.
No.
So you've got to do your research. You've got to do your tastings. You've got to talk to the
Agreed.
professionals. And if you want to be authentic, you've got to go and know what you're doing. So talk to a lot of people. Talk to a lot of people from Chicago. I call them my advisors. They're really good friends, and they're from Chicago. So we do a lot of research, a lot of talking, a lot of tasting, and then start building from there.
Wow. I told you he was a coach.
So talking about challenges that you faced, like, of course, you said you opened just about 11 months ago. So it's like near the tail end of this pandemic that the main pandemic and stuff. So what's something like you faced from since then about opening from when you previously worked in other restaurants and places?
Right now it's just the name change. Changing over from Luke's to Lucky's is Luke's has been a staple in this town for a long time. A lot of people grew up, their sons, their families growing up on it, and it's different. I give a lot of respect to Luke and to the Luke's name that came out here. They brought Chicago dogs and they brought Italian beef to Tucson, and I respect that. What we're trying to bring is a lot more of a family environment, a restaurant. We're bringing all the flavors of Chicago. If knowing Chicago, it's a melting pot. They have all varieties of food in Chicago. Everything from Mexican, Thai, Japanese, Greek, everything in Chicago. And it's not just Chicago dogs and beef. It's more than that. There's so many hidden flavors. We have a Chicago mild sauce. There's just, again, a ton. So trying to bring that in and tell Tucson about it under a new name, it's just getting them in the door. Getting them to try it and see it. We blew up the menu. I mean, blew it up. I have so many different varieties of Big Baby Cheeseburger.
Have you ever tried a Chicago style? It just left my brain. Tamale.
No.
Tom tamales.
So they're Tom tamales. Now, Tom tamales are not what you're expecting,
I would
especially
think so.
not. It's the tamales that I grew up with. Very different from that.
Okay.
But go ahead and tell us a little bit about the Tom.
Yeah, Tom tamales were created in 1937, and they came out of Chicago. We actually have them shipped in from Chicago. They're based out of there. It's what people from Chicago grew up on. They were in like what we'd call our ice cream trucks. They ran around. You'd get them for a nickel or whatnot.
Wow.
Back on the streets. They have strings that were tied. They were boiled, steamed, back in the day, and they're found in that region. But they're not like our Southwest tamales at all.
Well, they're like in that they're steamed. It sounds because the tamales that I grew up on, they're also steamed in a pot. But the ingredients, I'm sure, are completely different.
I'm gonna
Masa.
push the masa.
Yeah.
Is totally different.
But it is some type of.
It's some type of masa. Yeah.
It's a little drier.
Yeah, it's-
I would say that it probably doesn't have any lard or animal products in it because that's what makes it tasty and
very healthy, by the way.
Yes, very. Yes.
Indeed, yeah.
That's why I eat so many during Christmas.
They're very healthy.
But the so it's a little bit drier, and you typically need something to go along with it. Is what I would say.
So what is the actual? What is it encased? What is it holding? Well, the tamale, the
Beef.
masa, but the end is beef.
Beef.
Shredded beef or
more like a finely ground beef
Okay.
that you would find inside. Not a shredded, but a very finely ground beef.
What types of spices? Is it hot or
Plain.
yeah?
Yeah.
Very
For a second, I wonder if they was going to use that Italian beef in there, like they do for their
Yeah.
Oh, that would be amazing.
right.
And,
So
and-
Chicago Italian.
and we're going
beef.
to talk about the Italian beef here, actually, just after this break. And we're going to dive into what Italian beef is. We're going to talk about how you can order Tom Tom, and we're going to try some of this food too. So I'm Wesley Source, your host of the Tucson Tasty Show. We'll be right back after this short break. Thank you to our amazing sponsors: Viral Premium Beef, Novus Vita, Mafia Kitchen, your financial guy Cody Peck, Network Outdoors, Local First Arizona, Arizona Hatters, Allegra Marketing, Print and Mail. Stay tasty, Tucson. Welcome back to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source, and we're back in studio with Jorge Ruiz. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
And being here, co-piloting, so I don't crash into the side of a mountain or something.
That would be
fun. Crashing into the side of a mountain?
Sure.
No, come on. Well, never mind. We're not going to
flying right before.
we're not going to regress into the military background again. We did that last week. But we also have Joshua, our chef Joshua, our consultant chef, and we're discussing on the break. If you're not on YouTube, you can't see it, but we're discussing aioli and how mayonnaise can actually make broccoli taste good. I still strongly disagree, but I'm willing to try almost anything. Almost anything. And we're going to get some tasty bites here going, my favorite segment, and we kind of move things around a little bit today, but that's okay. So why don't you tell us what you brought for us? And as we're starting to, get some reviews on your food, why don't we talk about that Italian beef and what Italian beef is, because really, Italian beef is almost like, let's see, what do we have in Tucson that everybody's like, or it says it's one thing and it's always something different in everybody else's family, like the machaca.
Machaca, yeah.
Because when you're talking about machaca, it literally means something different in everybody's family.
And even birria, folks kind of struggle with it. Which one's the right birria?
Mm-hmm. They're not using the actual lamb. They're using more of like,
Exactly.
because there was one place I went in, they're like, his secret was he uses pork rib meat to make his birria.
A good friend of mine is actually trying to decipher what's in the birria exactly, because there's one ingredient that he just doesn't like, and he's trying to figure out which one it is.
Cumin.
Not sure. Actually, he's kind of on a search.
I don't know.
And he says, I should like it. It looks delicious, but I tasted it, and there's something in there that
I
just
challenge him to go over to
throws me off.
El Taco Rustico and have
I'll take him.
his
Some
queso
people use
birria
cinnamon,
tacos.
yeah.
And
I'm going to give it a shot. Now, he's real
Right.
picky. Tremaine, you know who I'm talking about, Tremaine. So he's picky, man, but I'm going
Call
to take him.
Maybe it could be nutmeg, because I've seen a few recipes that
Nutmeg?
they threw nutmeg in there. Because every now and then I'll put some nutmeg into my pasta sauce. But some people, it would actually, it's a numbing effect on their
Yeah.
tongue. So when they eat it, it's like it just, like I said, fires off those synapses that they just don't like. So it could be that.
Well, look at here.
all right, so we got talking about another beef. We got the
Thank you,
Italian
sir.
beef. Now the Italian beef, you got to check this out. Look at this thing. It's stacked. Now here's a big thing, big difference. This isn't something that you're making and storing and reheating.
No. This is all made in store.
Fresh.
So we cook the beef,
You
we
slice
slice
it.
the beef, we
You-
make the au jus.
Look at this.
The giardiniera, which is the hot pepper mix, which is that colorful that you see on the sandwich.
I like how you say it properly too, giardiniera.
Giardiniera.
Took me a
while
that's the
to
Italian
learn that.
peppers that everybody talks about. It's giardiniera.
That is shipped in from Chicago. That's a Chicago blend. Very authentic.
I love the bread, man.
The bread is local, so we do support local. I'm a very big fan of supporting local. That is from La Baguette on the east side. They deliver bread daily. We have a very, very
That's
strict
Broadway
bread
and
policy.
Pantano for everybody that doesn't
And that
know.
spiciness, it comes from the chilies you put on there, or is
That
it
is-
in the meat?
No, well, there's two flavors that are battling right there. One, you have the giardiniera, which is a hot pepper mix,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have the flavors from the giardiniera. I mean, the au jus. The au jus is our special blend, which that is the Italian beef.
And that spice lasts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything comes down to the au jus.
So on the peppers, it's actually marinated, and it's with everything. So you got the seeds, everything. So it's like a Midwest salsa. That
This
was
is the best show
Italian.
ever. Bro.
Thank you.
You get to taste the show. That's kind of weird, but true.
But it all marinates in the oil, and then oil is what really makes it kind of come through. So
It's also easy to eat, very soft.
Well, and what you're eating here is what we call a no dip. You just have the juices from the meat. It's not what we call wet. When we do it wet, we actually dip the entire sandwich in the au jus. The whole outside is coated, and you're going to have all the spices and everything from the au jus
Wow.
wrapped
and
around it.
there's actually a technique to eating the sandwich so you don't get it all over you, and you gotta lean like this over the table and shovel it in your mouth.
So we have, excuse me, a torta ahogada, which is, are you familiar with the torta, the Spanish sandwich? It's with the bigger, fluffier bread. It can be carne asada, be shredded beef, pork, whatever. But very similar to the au jus idea is that it's ahogada. Ahogada is a Spanish word that means drowned. So they put the torta on in a plate, kind of not a bowl, but almost a bowl. They get like a hot sauce, tomato sauce, and they kind of drench it on that. So with that, when I eat that, I use a knife and a fork because picking that thing up is just calling for trouble.
Absolutely. So some people from Chicago, there's a lot of different terms. They'll say dunk it, drown it, baptize it, take it for a swim, where we put it in the au jus and we let it bubble.
And you do that here?
We do it here in Tucson.
Oh, can't
and we
wait to
bubble
go.
it out. We lift it out of the au jus. We fill it. We put it on a plate, and it's a soggy mess.
And
we load it up. And you'll eat it with a fork and knife. But all that au jus sitting in the bread, it is amazing.
This is really bad when you're eating already something delicious, fantasizing about something else you're going to eat.
So what would you say the difference between
Welcome to the Tucson Tasty Show.
Yeah.
the difference between, say, something like this, the Italian beef, versus like the what they call like the French dip?
Oh, there was a spot in The Bear, the new series. If you haven't finished watching it, spoiler alert. Sorry, tune out, whatever. And they talked about one of the new chefs came in and she goes, I don't know what an Italian beef is. And cousin, he goes, you know what a French dip is? She goes, yeah. Well, this is an Italian dip. Basically the same thing.
I actually disagree with that strongly. I don't
Absolutely.
like that analogy at all because it's not the same. French dip is
100%.
very, I mean, you can eat it with a fork and knife. You can pick it up and eat, or you can dip it. You can eat it. This is just a disaster the entire time. And I mean, it's food. You're supposed to it slows you down. Every bite has to be purposeful because otherwise you're just going to be covered in wearing it. And the Italian way. Now you got a Chicago dog over here. We got 3.5 minutes. We gotta run through this.
So we also wrap it Chicago way. You get a Chicago dog and fries, it's wrapped.
Yes.
Fries with the dog.
And then you got all those toppings are right into the fries and everything else. Check this out.
So Chicago dog, you've got all your toppings in there. It's what we call all the way. It's got every topping, your pickle, your sports peppers, tomato, onion, celery salt on top,
Green relish.
green relish, and the
Yeah,
Vienna.
onion.
You know it's Vienna because it's a bright green relish. If it's a dull relish, it's not Vienna,
Let's see.
and therefore it's not a true Chicago
Because that
dog.
green is actually,
And it's crunchy
You
can
and
see it.
soft at the same time.
See the green
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and they get the poppy seed.
poppy seed bun, and we steam the bun, so it's a steam bun, and we
good.
steam the dog as well.
No hot dog for you?
No, I mean I love Chicago dog. I'll let you guys enjoy it today.
Look at that picture. That's
When we were
perfect right there.
actually at the shop that day, I actually got some.
Oh yeah.
I
Thank you.
definitely love those hot dogs too, because when you bite into a hot dog, sometimes it's like, oh, it's just soft and mushy.
little colors in there.
The skin has that
Yeah.
nice little crunch, crisp to it. The little bite, as they say.
Mm.
So why did they put the poppy seed on the bun though?
That crunch in there, man, just adds a whole different.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It's
It's
set it
flavor.
apart to know that it's a different bun.
It's like a poppy seed
yes.
bagel.
Chicago
So
dog is
good.
one of my favorite hot dogs. So it's like next time I go, I have to get I saw it on the menu, the double dog, or we get the two hot dogs on there.
Yeah.
I got to get that one.
That is so good.
Now you might consider blasphemy, but when I make it at home, I dice everything up to be almost like the same thing, so it's like its own relish to put it on the hot dog because I want to get like every single little bite in every.
That's a
thing.
Joshua dog, not a Chicago dog.
There's nothing wrong with that. As
Well-
long as you get and that's how we build our dog. We want you to make sure that you get every flavor in every bite. So
That's a hot
everything's
dog.
even
You were,
across.
you were looking at Chicago while making it.
One of the times, like I couldn't find sports pepper, so what I did was I threw in some banana peppers and then threw in some jalapenos. You want a little bit of spicy, so I get that the bright green from the banana peppers or pepperoncinis and stuff. But you get that. But I've actually saw them. They actually do the relish and I think it was the Safeways I saw. That they actually can get the relish and stuff now in the stores. So I was so happy when I started getting them in the store. I'm like, I don't have to try to order it online and ship it here. It's like, oh, you can get a few of these stuff at home.
So good, man. Thank you. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank you.
much.
And thank you for joining us
Some art you're creating.
today on the
Video.
Tucson Tasty Show. Look for us next week. Really excited to have the guests. You gotta check out the Facebook page and follow Instagram, follow YouTube, subscribe, and friend, like, post, or share, repeat. Right. But check us out next week, same time. Right after this on channel 58 is the TV show, and that one's Zio Pepe. That one's a lot of fun, and we'll see you next week. I'm Wesley Source, your host. Stay tasty, Tucson.